The Folk Tales of the Mountain Backdu. Hello! Today I am going to tell of the story of the first part of the Ginseng&Flower deer. The moon, like a tray, rose up on the mountain Backdu. The 7 fairies of the Heaven Palace slowly flew down in the brilliant light. The fairies who came down on the side of the Cheonji took off their clothes and splashed into the Cheonji lake, one after another, and enjoyed the bath. Among them, the youngest one, Cheonnyeo, was not interested in bathing. She was mesmerized by the night view of the mountain Backdu. The sound of a flute came dimly from somewhere. It was an infinitely subtle and beautiful sound of a flute, like a bead rolling on a jade tray and jade rolling on a golden table. The sound of the flute somehow seemed to call her affectionate, so Cheonnyeo by herself came out of the Cheonji to a place where the flute sounded. On the northern side of the Little Cheonji, large rocks like palaces stood high, and on the top of them, a bachelor was standing and playing a flute. His bright face was reflected in a clear lake, and it was difficult to distinguish from which was the moon and which was the face of the bachelor. In addition, the sound of the flute was soft and subtle, and Cheonnyeo stood as if she were nailed. The sound of the flute unfolded beautiful screens in front of the eyes of Cheonnyeo. A sea of primitive forests appeared, hills full of various flowers appeared, an oblique rainbow by the river appeared, and a world of jagged peaks appeared in the fog. Sometimes the sound of the flute was extremely subtle, as if the orioles were singing, as if the brook were chattering, and as if the waves were howling.
Cheonnyeo!
Cheonnyeo!
After hearing the calls of the sisters looking for her, Cheonnyeo left the Little Cheonji with regret. After that, when Cheonnyeo came down to the Cheonji to bathe, she came to the side of the Little Cheonji and used to peek at the bachelor playing the flute. Cheonnyeo unconsciously fell in love with the bachelor. As the days went by, she was crushed down by loving that bachelor more and more, and so all she had in her mind was him. To her eyes, everything in heaven was less good than that of the human world. The bachelor, who was playing the flute in human world, was a handsome man who could not be found even in heaven. One warm spring day, the 7 fairs came down to the Cheonji to get a spring pastime. Cheonnyeo was about to sneak out again.
Hey, Cheonnyeo! Where else are you going?
I have to pee.
That kid, whenever she comes down to the Cheonji.
Ho, ho, ho!
The elder sisters laughed, fit to kill, giving her sidelong glances. Cheonnyeo was insufferable to want to see the bachelor playing the flute and came to the Little Cheonji. The lake in spring was fascinating. Flowers of various colors bloomed around the lake in full. White clouds floated in the clear lake, and it was difficult to discern which was the sky and which was the lake. Even though the clear lake, the Little Cheonji, was beautiful, Cheonnyeo could not but feel sorry for it. There was no indication of a person on the rock where the bachelor had sat on the rock in the moonlight or on the side of the Cheonji. Cheonnyeo was walking along the side of the Cheonji with affectionate mind and found a cave. The cave at the foot of the mountain was not so deep. It was the residence of the bachelor. Novice household stuff and bundled clothes were in the cave. As if Cheonnyeo was in her home, she came out to the Little Cheonji with laundry. She washed his clothes thoroughly, hung them on the branches of the white birch, went into the cave, and even cooked his meals.
What if he comes?
Cheonyeo's face became rosy under her ears. Then she heard the sound of human footsteps. Cheonnyeo blushed hot, and her heart pounded in steep with excitement. She hid in the thicket on a rock without even a moment to think about this and that. The bachelor who appeared at the entrance of the cave with a load of medicinal ingredients was tall, and he had generous and refreshing eyes. He was indeed a dignified and nice bachelor. At first sight, her heart was drawn to him, put her hands on swollen chest, and closed her eyes gently. The bachelor couldn't but be surprised when he came back home. The dirty clothes were washed neatly and scattered on the white birch, and the appetizing smell of new meal and dishes wafted from the cave.
Who did it? There's no one to come.
The bachelor looked all over the place, but there was no indication of a person around. Indeed, it was like a dream. The bachelor, who was hungry, went into the cave and had a meal. The meal and dishes were more agreeable to the taste than ever. The moon came up in swollen. The bachelor sat on the rock and played the flute according to his habit. While he was playing the flute enthusiastically, the woman who wore white was walking toward him with a deep scent. The bachelor was surprised by her and exclaimed,
If you're a ghost, back off, and if you're a person, speak.
The woman came before the bachelor and said, bending her head down gently,
Don't be surprised. I am the youngest of the 7 fairies of the Heaven Palace. I missed the human world, so I came for you. Please don't let me out.
Then, you are the one who did the laundry during the day and made supper, aren't you?
Yes.
I hope you don't blame me just because I didn't know that, and spoke loudly without scruple.
No problem. I'm fine with that.
Cheonnyeo, who was standing in front of the bachelor, was truly beautiful. The thin and soft white clothes covered her slim body, and the glossy hair was full of brilliant pearls. And in her deep eyes, there was an air of the beautiful and lovely affection. She was shy under the bright moonlight and fiddling about with the hem of her skirt, and so she looked more piteous and affectionate. The bachelor reached out to Cheonnyeo. Cheonnyeo took the bachelor's hand with her 2 hands and followed him up the rock. In their minds, unnamed warm and peculiar emotions were swirling. They talked for a long time, losing track of time. This story will be continued in the second part of The Ginseng and Flower Deer.